4 lines from the bottom of page 45b, וכן לעניין טומאה. What we explained yesterday and day before yesterday in regards to a batzek שבסדקי ערבה. Remember I showed you the special vessels. How do you call that vessel, Dave? The one with the holes.
Oh, it's like a cake pan or a baking pan. Or yep.
Okay, so we said that if we have a kezait in one location, you have to chayav levayer, you have to get rid of that. If not, it's batel b'miut. And we explained that in regards to chametz, we have this discussion if it's kezait and pachot mikezait. We said that kezait, it's different in makpid alav chotzets ve'im rotze b'kiyumo הרי זה קרבה. If a person makpid, if a person is a very scrupulous not to leave any type of the door on that corner, so it's considering as a chatzitza. But otherwise, if a person is not makpidet, so it's yitbatel, it's yishael. Now, the issue here, the Mishnah used the term v'chen. V'chen meaning that it's like an addition. And the truth is, it's not, it's an addition, because here you see in the law of purity that is dependent upon a person's will. If it's less than kezait, so he is more scrupulous, and it is chotzet. So he said, midame. How do you compare the two? Hatam b'shi'ur taramilta. Over there with the matter of the contingents upon the measure. So it's really depend upon that. So if it's a kezait, then it's different. Hacha b'kfidat taramilta. But here the measure, it's different. We hold that our whole idea here is not contingent upon a particular. So therefore, when you use the term v'chen, it means that in both situations, the halacha, it's depend upon the same cause. Omar Rav Yehuda ema u'li'inyan ha'tumah eno ken, which means it means that in regards to ritual impurity, it is not so. That's like almost via negativa, which means that in regard to tumah, the Mishnah is not so scrupulous that the owner treated in a sense in a different manners than the others. How you tell me that? That the Mishnah said clearly that the term of v'chen, this is the meaning of Mishnah. V'chen, Memvav Amud Aleph 46, לעניין צירוף טומאה בפסח. So we explained, if you remember when we studied the Mishnah in 45, so we said that if you have an impure food, it's basically not contagious upon other impure food, only if they have the size of kebeitza. ובשאר ימות החמה איכא פלוגתא. And the rest of the year, there is a difference between if a person is makpid or if the owner is particular about it or not. So they said, כגון, דאיכא פחות מכביצה אוכלים ונגעו בה בצק. If you have less than side of in the eggs amount of that food, and they touch this dough that attach to that vessel, remember I showed you the vessel, so right? So it happens, therefore, Pesach, if it's during the festival of Pesach, the Isuro Chashuv, because you have this prohibition of Chametz in a size of Kezait, so it makes it, basically, it's not Batel, it's not Anal in regard to that vessel, if the owner is not particular about to take it out, Mitztaref, so therefore we can combine with the rest of the food, to combine them as what? As beitza. And remember, those who are just watching us now, first time, please go back to our previous 2 sessions to see what is the concept of Isur v'heter when we speaks about Mitztaref. Bishar Yemot HaShana, the Bekfeidah Talya Milta, but however the rest of the years, that it's only depend upon how the Be'alim, the owner, particularity. So if the owner is particular about it, which means does not want the door to be there, so it's considered mitztaref, is combined with the other piece of food. But if you prefer to continue present, the current location is considered like part of the kneading bowl itself rather than food. So Rava asked, what we were speaking here about combine, we just said that it's interposes. So that's so how you tell me that the Mishnah speaks about combination to put together the measure of ritual impurity. So Rava said that it's so too in regard to purifying the kneading bowl via immersion. What the situation? For example, if this kneading bowl became ritually impure, and it's depend. Pesach, the Isur Chashuv, since in the festival of Passover you have the prohibition of chametz in that dough, in that corner of this vessel. Let's call it in Hebrew so it will be easy for me and easy for you. We call that vessel ariva. So now remember when you use ariva, we talk about that large vessel I showed you yesterday.
Like a cake pan, yeah.
What?
A cake pan or
cake pan.
Yep.
Ariva. So that's chashuv. So it's not batel, it's not narbad. Chotzetz, so therefore it interposes between the water of mikveh to the ariva. Velo salchadat vila. So if you duck it in the mikveh, it's not help. Bishor motachama bikfeidat milta, but the rest of the years depend upon the be'alim, the owner, if he's a makpid or not. Ibikpid alav chotzetz. If the owner is particular about it, that the door wishes to remove it, so it really interposes between the water and the bowl. But if you wish to have it as a presence, so it's considered like a reu kariva. Therefore, it's not interposes. Matkif larav papa miktane v'chen inyan tara. We don't use the language v'chen inyan tara in regards, in addition to purity. We said the impurity. So it's the opposite way. So the way that you said it has to be in the purity, total purity. L'amarava v'chen le'inyan lehorid tum'a la'ariva. So this is similarly with regard to a transfer of ritual impurity to the kneading bowl via the dough. So hechidami, give me an example. You have a creeping animal that touching this dough, and the Pesach, and it happened as follows. If it's doing the Passover, the Isur Chashuv, that the chametz making the kezait is a part of that, so it's considering as far as the ariva as a interposes, is a separation, and chotzetz, it is separation between the creeping animal and the ariva. V'lo nachata latuma, and the ritual impurity is not descend between the creeping animal and the ariva, even the owner is not particular about it. However, the rest of the year, the bekfeda talta, one is depend on upon whether one is particular about the presence of the dough. Makpid alav chotzetz, if he is strict that it's not kezait, so there it interposes between the ariva and the sheretz. If he desires to be in the presence, it's like part of the kneaded bowl, and therefore the entire bowl becomes ritually impure when the caress of the creeping animal touches the dough, and therefore now we understand the term v'chen. Following Mishnah dealing with different batzek that they have some sign of being leavened. There are a few phases of how the process of fragmentation of being leavened take place. Batzek ha-cheresh. So there are different opinion. What does that mean, cheresh? Cheresh in Hebrew, in simple manner, is someone who's deaf. Is not here. So Rashi explained that it's like a person not hearing, and that's it. But there is other explanations like the Rambam, the Raavad, and others that use the word sin, acheres, is like cheres, is like earthware vehicle. So you don't see the regular process of leavening. But he said, since you have this type of death dough, which means that this dough, which is difficult to determine if it has been leavened or not, is like deaf mute. So, אם יש כיוצא בו שהחמיץ, הרי זה אסור. If you find a similar dough that looks the same and it's already past that process of fragmentation and is now leavened, so you basically juxtapose between the two, and therefore it's forbidden. Later we have a big discussion what exactly and how the process takes place. So the Gemarrah asks, what do you mean by saying im en sham kayotze bo ma'u? How do you determine by comparing one dough to the other? Like you're saying that we need to have one dough that they have this deaf mute entity and the other. So how you do it? Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. So כדי שילך אדם ממגדל נונאי על טבריה, mil. It was a distance between that place to Tiberias, which is a mil. So that's the measurement. The name a mil. So maybe we said mil. Now, by you, Gemarrah, what did they say mil, the size in our modern day?
I know we talked about this before. I think it was 2,000 amot. So that's 2,000 amot's about...
I see here in the Vilna Gaon that it is 18 minutes
to walk,
or 24 minutes, while other rule there's 22 minutes.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's if the dough was left without being worked upon for the time it takes to walk a mill, which is 2,000 amot.
All right, so basically this is the distance, but it's a distance. Anyway, the name Amil, Akamashman, the Shua, the Mil, Keminian Nuyad Veria. So that's the measurement. So now, since Rabbi Abba said in that measurement, so we go further. We say, Amar Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, L'Gabal, L'Tfilah, L'Tidayim, 4 milim. So there's three different things, but they have the same point of halacha. He said, number one, it's regard to someone who needs the dough for others. So he have to maintain a ritual purity of the dough. So he said that's the measurement of what? Of 4 milim, which means the measurement how far you need to go to mikveh, to toivel, to duck. So that's the measurement. Letfilah, how far a person needs to go if he's a traveler in order to get to the minyan, and ventilat yadayim in order to wash the hand for the meal. So a traveler needs to eat bread. How far needs to walk? So in the wrap it up, the said 4 milim, which is about 8,000 cubits. As we said, it's about 2,004 times.
Right, so it's about 2 miles.
2 miles. Omar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, Ayvu Amara. It's not Rabbi Abba, it's Ayvu. Ve'arba'a amarba. V'chad aminayu ibud ditnan. So they said in Moed Chulin, Kuf Kav Bet, 122. Vechulan, all these different orot, all the different 10. So the soft one, that it's considering the same as regular meat, and they carry contamination the same as the others. She'ibdan, that if the one throat were 10, or she'ilech bahen kedei avodah, or that was trod upon for as long as necessary for leather walking process. So he said, Teurim, they're ritually pure. Why? Because it's no longer considering as a meat, and it's considering as a regular oil. It's a leather. Said, Chutz me'ora adam. You can compare it to a human, to a person. So basically it's a rabbinic decree. V'chama kedei avodah. What's the really, the considering treat as a hide for leather walking process? Amar Rabbi Yanai kedei luch 4 milim. So the same, 4 milin, which is 8,000 cubits. Omar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina lo shanu. The sages did not teach us what Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, that someone who's traveled needs to go 4 milin in order to make a public davening, public prayer in the synagogue, and also in the washing hands for bread. Ela lefanav, only it's at the front of him, which means that that's the direction he needs to go. That regardless he needs to go there, he doesn't lose anything from the distance, and therefore it's okay. Aval acharav. But if you need to turn backward, afilu mil eno chozer, he doesn't need to go back even 1 mil. So he doesn't have the obligation to the. So again, we see here that Bur Halacha explained that it's also depend upon how far. The Chayei Adam said that again, it's a preferable is lechatchila, and it's also b'diavad. Omar Ravacha umina, we derive from that mil udeno chozer, pachot mil chozer. If it's such a short distance, even he lose some of his walking, he should go back. Next Mishnah. כיצד מפרישין חלה בטומאה ביום טוב? How does one separate challah in ritual impurity during the festival of Pesach? Now, the Torah tells us in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 17, we have the mitzvah of taking a part of challah and give it to the Kohen. That's called truma, which means the Kohen not allowed to eat it only when they are ritually pure. Now, even someone that have these issues with impure dough, he still need to give it to Kohen, and the Kohen need to get rid of that. So here we're speaking about what? Pesach? Yom Tov. Which Yom Tov? No, tell me. Which Yom Tov?
Pesach.
Which one? The first, the last?
Oh, first.
So the answer is either the first or the last.
Oh, okay.
So if someone created the dough and he take a portion of challah and separate it in order to avoid hachmatzah, fermentation, or leavening, so when it's become ritually impure, it's a problem, because that if the challah is ritually impure, even the Kohen cannot eat it. So therefore you cannot bake it on Yom Tov, because the whole idea is ochel nefesh, and that's ochel nefesh. So there's a Tosfot that they have a big discussion over that, how you should make it in a sense of bitul. For example, if it's already rolled that dough, and now it's become challah. But anyway, it's applied not only in Israel but also outside of Israel. Even by a biblical precept by the Oraita, you don't have the obligation to do a frashat challah outside of Eretz Yisrael, but the rabbi said that you have to do it everywhere. So there is a Rif in the Rambam, and they have a discussion over that. What should a person do? But in Jelua, they're speaking about taking a challah in Yom Tov, which is regardless if it's the first or the last day of Pesach. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, the woman that does that, lo tikra Lashem ad shete'afeh, should not designate it as challah prior to baking, should refrain from doing so until it's baked. So it means she should wait until she has baked all the dough, and there is no risk of becoming leavened. Otherwise she shouldn't do it. Now, the Meiri explains that the whole process of baking is still considering as ochel nefesh, even with that condition. Anyway, Ben Beteira Omer, Tatil Batzonen, you have a very good resolution. When Netera said she should separate the challah, place the dough in the cold water. So what happened? The minute you put the challah in the cold water, it's a very small chance to make it chametz, because it's basically when you cooling off the product,
right,
it's reduce the chance of fermentation. Amar Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Yoshua said, page 46b, לא זהו חמץ שמוזרין עליו בבל יראה ובל ימצא. When the Torah said you should not have it and you should not see it, so it's only apply if you own the chametz or someone gave it to you to guard it. But the minute you separate it, it's no longer belong to you, it belongs to the Kohanim. So you don't have that prohibition because it's not coming to the Kohen in his hand. That's the way the Rashi and Rashash another explain. Ela, quite the contrary, mafrishata, she should separate the chala. Umanichata ad ha'erev, she leave the chala until the evening, which is what? Motzei Yom Tov.
Motzei Yom Tov, yeah.
Right? Ve'im echmitza. So it become leaven. You can't do anything. So it means Rabbi Yoshua disagreed with Rabbi Eliezer ben Betera in two things. One is the prohibition of chametz. What Rabbi Yoshua hold? That the whole prohibition of bal yira'eh or bal yamatzeh, it's not applied that if the chala became leavening. Mm-hmm. And the other one is in regard to prohibition of doing work, doing Yom Tov, if it's not for ochel nefesh. Rabbi Yoshua hold that yes, it is prohibited to bake this impure dough before you take a challah, because then if you separate challah, it means that that part that it's separate for challah, it wasn't for ochel nefesh, because it was originally forbidden for eating for every kohen. And then he says quite the contrary, you have to take the challah before cooking it and let it even become leavening, and it's not an issue. So at the end of the Mishnah, what we learn, that Rabbi Yoshua hold that you do not have this liability of bal yira'eh or bal yamatzeh, you should not have it, you should not see it.
Once it's like
over what? Of challah that made out of chametz. Rabbi Eliezer disagreed with him at the very early part of the Mishnah, because he requested to preceding the cooking of that dough, that you're going to take a challah part in order to avoid that process of leavening. After you put the part, you take a tightening. So what is the really cause of this machloket? Because remember, Ben Betera are required to put it in a cold water. So cold water is he hold that otherwise it's a violation of bal yira'eh bal yamatzeh. So Batzlach, he explained that all of that it's basically part of holding the process, avoiding the process of finalizing fermentations. But he said, Leima betovat hanaha kamiflegei. Maybe you say that this disputation between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua, it's in regard what exactly the benefit of the desertion, which means the benefit that occurred from the option of giving challah, because this is a truma and the tithe, whichever the Kohen and Levi one chooses. So he explained that Rabbi Eliezer savar tovat hanaha mamon. Rabbi Eliezer hold that benefit from desertion is considered to have monetary value. So if they have monetary value, so it's therefore owning it is prohibited. Rabbi Yoshua savar tovat hanaha mamon. He says that the benefit of desertion is not considering a monetary value. So one does not own the challah, and therefore he allowed to become leaven. So the Gemara said, no, you can't say everyone hold that if you derive any benefit, it's not considering its owning of that monetary. Now the dispute with the point of hold, what does that mean? Rabbi Eliezer So Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Eliezer said, we say that since if you want, he can ask, it is his property. So therefore, since it's his property, so we look at that portion of challah in regards to bal yira'eh or bal yamatzeh. Rabbi Yoshua savar lo omri lanu il. which means this option not make him as an owner. So the Gemarrah said itmar. Since the Gemarrah cited this dispute, so we go further. We say ofem yom tov lachol. In other words, the person start cooking after he ate the suda, the meal of Yom Tov, that he's not going to make another suda until the evening. So therefore, we are basically forbidden to do something for Yom Tov, Rashi said, for the next day. Mm-hmm. So if the Meiri explained, if he made this suda before the last meal of festival, even he intend to eat it only the next day, it's in a way considering somehow connected to the festival itself, because he maybe change his mind going to eat it. So that's one thing. But he says, Rav Chizda omer loke, Rav amar no loke. Rav Chizda said it deserves malkut. Why? Because it's a melacha of afiyah. Mm-hmm. He's like cooking. So if he did it with a warning and he did it intentionally, so the same as all the other 39 type of work on Yom Tov. Because it's not for Yom Tov. Rabbi Amar is not deserve malkut. So why? So now we explain. Rav Chizda Amar lo lo amri lanu ilu mikal leorchin chazele. So he said maybe as guests, and now all of a sudden he needs this bread. So then, therefore, because he doesn't have these guests, so he deserves malkut. Rabbi Amar no lo amri lanu il. So we said that maybe in a potential he has a guest, and if you have a guest, he can serve them on Yom Tov with that food. So therefore, even in a reality, he did not have a guest, but since it is a potential, so it's considering it for the tzorech Yom Tov, for the purpose of Yom Tov, and it's fine. So what do we derive from that? So Baal HaMaor said that lechatchila, by the way that Rabbanan, the sages explain, you're not allowed to do any type of cooking during festival for the next regular day. The same apply for Yom Tov and Shabbat. If you don't have Eruv Tavshilin, mm-hmm. you cannot do it like you have this year. We have the 2 days of Yom Tov and then you have Shabbat.
Right.
Why? Because people are otherwise allowed to cook and bake from Yom Tov Lechol. Tosfot have a problem. Tosfot in Be'ar, page 12, he said that halakha according to Beit Hillel. So if that's the case, why Rav Chizda hold that if someone cook during Yom Tov, so for the regular day he deserves malkut? So there is a big discussion of the whole idea of mitoch she'utra letzorech, utra shelo letzorech, since we allow for that person to use also for others. Omer לרבה לרב חיסדא לדידך דאמר לו אמרין הנועיל היה חופים מיום טוב לשבת. So how you do that? So from the festival to Shabbat, אמר לי משום מרובי תבשילים. So we have this rabbinic decree that in order to eat food on Yom Tov, so you need to do a one bread and one cook food mm-hmm. together, and you designated it for Shabbat. So all this cooking, different cooking you do during festival is for the purpose of Shabbat, and therefore this is a big Gemarrah at the end of the second chapter in the Tractate Be'ar. Not dealing with that. ומשום מרובי תבשילין שרינן איסור הדאורייתא. So because we make עירוב תבשילין we allow something that is forbidden by the Torah. אמר להם דאורייתא צורכי שבת נעשים ביום טוב. So biblically speaking, all those that type of work that the Torah allowed to do for the same day, so you're allowed to do it if the holiday, the festival, it's attached to Shabbat, like Friday. ורבנן דגזרו בגזירה, and the sages put this decree to someone who didn't prepare ערב תבשילין. Why? שמא יאמרו, because people who are not educated may say, the same way as that you baking from festival to Shabbat, ofin biyom tov af lechol, that you can allow to do it from the festival to regular weekly day. וכיוון דצריכו הרבנן עירוב תבשילים, מתלה קרע, that's so important that the sages want to make sure that is that people recognize it. Is the whole idea of itle kera applied many things that the sages require a joining of cooked foods one who has conspicuous matter reminding him that baking on the festival for Shabbat is permitted, but baking for the festival of the weekday is prohibited. Eitivei. Now Rabbi asks on Rav Chizda from the following Braita. Behema mesukenet. You have an animal that have a terminal ill, and it's clear that the animal will not make it, and the owner is afraid that she's going to pass, and then you cannot use anything of their meat. So what he wants to do now? He wants to proceeding by shachtanet, right? But he doesn't need to eat from that meat on Yom Tov. Why? Because he already ate. And as you remember, for the tzorech Yom Tov, we cannot allow to shecht animals. So they said, lo yishchot, כדי שיכול ממנו כזית סלים בעוד יום. As long as he can eat at least amount of כזית or olive bark proceeding earlier than the festival. So they said, יכול לאכול, אף על גב דלא בא למיכל, even he doesn't practically eating it. So if you're going by my way, that you said that it's not for the actual Yom Tov, so only the option to eat it in Yom Tov, so you can say will be by lemechal matzeh achil mishum achil yishchot. So because therefore the shlichita is for the purpose of holiday, so you can do it. So it's because you don't need it for the Yom Tov itself. Oh, that applies so much to show the kindness of the rabbis. They say that because it's involved with losing money, and because the monetary loss that will incur by not slaughtering it, and not other things. So. But since he's talking about biblical prohibitions, the Rabbi asked, because of monetary loss you are forbidden something that's biblically forbidden, you allow it? So אמר לי, אין, yes, משום להפסד ממונו גמר בליבו לאכול כזית, because the guy feels he's going to have such a monetary loss, he's going even to go extra mile and eat כזית for olive bark from that animal meat on a festival. ואפשר לחזית בצר ולא שחיטה. You cannot eat even the size of כזית meat without doing the proper shchita, proper slaughtering. So therefore, otherwise if he's not in 10, he knows a little, Rashi explained, so he knows that otherwise he cannot use it, so he's afraid of monetary loss, so we allow him to shachten it on during Yom Tov. Rambam, Ilchot Mikveot. An impure vessel to be purified through immersion, it must be clean from any substance that interposes between it and the water. So if the owner of the vessel does not object to the substance remaining in the surface, the immersion is effective, provided that the majority of the vessel is not covered. However, if the owner is subject to the presence of the substance, the immersion of the vessel is ineffective. So just in a practical manner, when you do even a utensils, toivel kelim, should make sure that you remove all the labels or whatever is there before you put it in the mikveh. Mm-hmm. We also talk about batzeka cheresh with regard to dough that does not show sign of becoming leaven. If other dough prepare at the same time become leaven, this dough is also presumed to have become leaven. That's the Mishnah. If no other dough was prepared at the same time, it should be assumed that at the time it will take the dough to become leaven is equal to the time it takes to walk 1 meal, which is 2,000 cubits. That's Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 4:15-9. We talk also about the walking of the meal. So we explain that if one needs to pray, but there's no water to wash his hand, should continue on his journey for up to an additional 4 meal, which is about 8,000 cubits. in order to wash them. How many miles is it?
1 mil is about a half a mile. A little over half a mile.
So 4 times is about 2 miles.
Right, a little over 2 miles.
Provided the proper time for prayer will not elapse in the interim. That's the Aruch explained. But if one was already past the source of water, he should return to it. If it is within distance of 1 mil, that's Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 92. We also explained that if someone wants to ha'ofem yom tov lechol, if it is prohibited to bake on festival day for a weekday. However, one who does it so is not deserve malkot due to the possibility that the guest might visit, and then they need the food. That's the rabbah, which means basically that's the Hagarot Maimonides, and also the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 503. Basically, you should not do it. But the Aval, if you did it, so the key point is that since you have a chance for a guest to come, so it's not Izer Malkut. The last halacha today, we said that bishul, a few bishul b'yom tov letzorech Shabbat. When a festival occurs on Friday, so one may not bake or cook on the festival for Shabbat without Eruv Tavshilin, which is joining of cooked foods. This prohibition is rabbinic, and it was enchanted so that people will not cook on a festival for a weekday. That's the Rabbah opinion. It's based on the Rambam Sefer Zmanim. We also elaborate on that in Chot Yom Tov, chapter 6.